The time is nigh. It's coming. Our prices are going to be booming in the next, I say, in the next 6 months, we are going to see a boom in prices.
Welcome to X to Z Money Masters. My name is Jeff. This is Devin. I'm a commercial realtor. He's a residential realtor in Las Vegas, Nevada. We've been doing a series of videos for one reason, and that reason is to provide some education and understanding about real estate, how to approach real estate, how to invest in real estate for folks across the country that just want an environment where they can learn a little bit about real estate and perhaps make some investments and do well financially. Fair?
Fair enough.
Today we're going to talk about some data. Isn't this data incredible?
It's pretty intriguing to see the fact that the median list price is going up, even though we've had this large influx of high interest rates. I mean, that's pretty compelling on its own. I mean, the median list price, I've got some data here. Median list price bottom, according to this graph, is on February 2023. So within 90 days of February 2023, the bottom was 360,000. So here we sit in February of 2024. What do you think the average list price? I'm going to go ahead and answer for you. The average list price, the bottom average list price is 380,000. So we've seen an increase of 20,000 at the median over a year, even though interest rates have been high.
Yeah.
And the reason I think that is because demand has lowered, but I think overall inventory has lowered even more. I think we're seeing less and less homes available on the market.
Yeah, and we've talked about the reasons for that. It's very clear. There's no mystery here. First off, number one, we do not have enough supply of housing in the United States of America. We are something like 4 million homes nationwide behind where we should be to have balanced housing in this country. So in the decade leading up to COVID, we didn't have enough supply coming out of the Great Recession. We didn't have enough supply, right? And then COVID hit and all the builders slowed down, the new builders. And so those are factors. We don't have the new build supply. We had a limited supply coming into COVID, and now we have interest rate pop. And when you have an interest rate pop, nobody's selling their home at 2.85% or 3% mortgage to go into the market to buy something at 6 or 7 unless they have to.
Right.
So we are seeing some supply on the market because people have to move and do things, job relocations, upsizing, downsizing, all those different kinds of reasons. But man, do we have something interesting right now, don't we? Absolutely. We have very, very limited supply. And I want to, isn't this fascinating that the median list price, by the way, folks, 555,000 median list price for new property or new listings coming on the market, and the median price of new listings coming on the market is $499. The current median list price is $555. So we are seeing a slight decline in the list prices of homes that are coming on the market. But I think what's really, really important to understand here is there used to be a saying back in the day that Vegas was cheap. Right? Vegas was a cheap place to live. Well, those days are over, folks. It isn't cheap to live in Vegas anymore. And what's interesting is when we look at that supply that you mentioned and you really break it down into segments, we're seeing supply in that 500,000 to 700,000, 700,000 to million. We're certainly seeing supply at the top end above 2.5 million. But when you go below 500 grand in the Las Vegas Valley, there's not much supply, certainly not single family. If you're below 500 in Las Vegas, you're looking at a condo, a townhome, or a manufactured home these days, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're not finding single families like you did 5 years ago, for example. So the days of cheap Vegas, even our buffets aren't cheap anymore, man. There's nothing about Vegas that's cheap anymore. We've arrived, right?
If you sit back and think about it, California, Orlando, those New York, those metropolitan, really big entertainment cities, if you look at the comparison for home prices, we're still pretty cheap.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that it's just a matter of conviction. So at this moment, the market indicates right here, you can see that there's a slight seller's advantage, and that's likely due to that inventory crunch that we're having right now.
Right.
And now what I'm seeing in the near future is low interest rates. We're already seeing as the GDP kind of rose up a little bit. The average interest rate right now is about 6.5%. So as we move forward towards June, July, whenever the FOMC finally do reduce rates, we're going to see that 5.5%, 5% interest rate with a low inventory. So if you think it's a seller's market now, wait 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, and that's the message Devin and I have been trying to send out there for quite a long time, and we're going to underline that message again, okay? It is a very, very good time to buy your home. It may not feel like it. A cheap comparison to a couple of years ago and an argument that, I don't want to buy when rates are 6. Man, if you can get a mortgage at 6.5%, you are beating the average mortgage rate going back over 50 years by a good 1 to 1.5%. You are doing well historically. Try not to stay too focused on those 2.5%, 3%ers. And just by the way, we're probably not ever going to see that again in our lifetimes, me, you, or anybody watching, right? That was an anomaly to see interest rates on mortgages at 3% or lower. We might see them come into the 5s, even the high 4s, but we're certainly likely not going to see them come back down again. I want to draw your attention, everybody, to when you look at this data, there is one piece of data on here that frankly is shocking to me. Because we're talking about low inventory, right?
Right.
So you would think what the inventory that's out there would move pretty quickly, but check out average days on market in the Las Vegas Valley. Folks, 147 days is an eternity in the Las Vegas market. I can remember as short as 1 year ago, that number was 46 days on market.
Not less.
And I can remember a time in COVID when we were down to something like 20 days or so on market.
I believe I saw a period where there was 15 days average.
I was going to say 16, but I didn't want to exaggerate without some assurance of that. So look at the average days on market. Now, that's kind of crazy when you think about it. And then I want to drive your numbers down here. Before we go to price decrease, price increase, why do we think this is the case, Devin? Why would we see average days so high?
Like you were saying, we're seeing a lot of inventory pop up in that 2.5 to 2 million, that range. And I think the brass tacks of it is a lot of our inventory is out of reach for a lot of people.
I think so. When you put our current inventory under a microscope and you really look at what it is, I have a suspicion. I think you're right that we just don't have enough homes on the market at 500 grand or below.
Right.
So the demand that's there isn't being met. Okay. I think if we looked at houses under 500, that average days on market would be much lower. That would be my speculation. And I think we've got a whole bunch of $1 million, $2 million, $3 million homes on the market. It might surprise you if you're not from Vegas, but we have a lot of them here. And they start moving. They're not moving quite as rapidly, right? Because people are a little bit concerned. And I got one other theory, and that is, I think a whole lot of people put the house that won't sell in a normal market is on the market right now.
Right.
Let me throw my house on the market and see if I can get rid of this kind of thing. And let me ask for the absolute top of the market price, because we're seeing some tired houses out there on the market right now. But those present opportunities as well, right?
And I think the reason that we're getting a lot of those is Zillow. Because the house down the street that's been completely remodeled and flipped, which we have a lot of flippers here in Las Vegas. We have a fairly older community in some of the areas that of older Las Vegas, 70s, 80s, stuff like that. And if they haven't been updated in the past 20, 30 years, 50 years even, then they're pretty old, right?
Yeah,
they're outdated.
good point.
So Zillow will find a comp that meets the same model match as that property and maybe two more. And then you look at your property on Zillow and they want to sell your house for $430,000 when in reality it's probably $350,000, $375,000.
Okay, that's a great point. So when a computer has an algorithm to determine the value of a home, and that's what Zillow has, an algorithm, right, called Zestimate. It basically overlays a certain area, grabs the various homes that are on the market or sold, puts it into the equation, and pops out a number. But there wouldn't appear to be any intelligent being looking over that algorithm and saying, let's filter this out, let's filter that out. And so to Devin's point, you have two homes sitting side by side. this home sells for $500,000 because it's been completely rehabbed, has a pool in the backyard, has a new roof on it, new appliances. The neighbor pulls up their home on Zillow. Zillow records that comp, applies it to this house, and says that house is worth $500,000 and that house is worth $350,000 because none of the other stuff. So Devin is making a great point that I'll bet you a lot of people don't consider.
Yeah.
So what's the lesson? The lesson isn't that Zestimate or Zillow is doing a bad thing. The lesson is call a professional licensed realtor and ask them to comp your home, and you will see the difference between a human being that knows what they're doing it versus an algorithm that maybe doesn't have the correct filters in it.
Right.
Am I saying all this politically correct? Because I don't want us getting in trouble with the Z.
Yeah. I don't think so. Like you said, I don't think Zillow's doing anything bad here. They're putting a bland mark overall, just a blanket over an idea that your home might be able to sell for that much. And in some markets it might. They're not lying to you.
Right.
They just don't have the entire picture. And I think there's something to be said about that. Personally, I think the conclusion of this video is if you look at price per square foot, on average price per square foot, we are looking at $267 per square foot. And now that's for your condos, that's for your $1 million homes, all of that's kind of grouped into one. But if you look, there's a graph and it'll show you that we are February to February, we are increasing price per square foot. Interest rates are on their way down. And demand is low, and rent rates are high for now. And so once we find ourselves in a situation where rent rates are high, interest rates are low, demand will increase, and then we're going to start seeing homes fly off the market, and that inventory is going to lower even more. So if you are a person out there who is thinking about buying and you're kind of on the fence, you have the money, you have the equity in your current home, or you're a first-time home buyer and you're looking to buy in the Las Vegas market, I think now is one of the most pivotal times. Everybody thought, I should have bought in 2019, 2018, 2017. The brass tacks of it is, I feel as if, and I've been saying this for a very long time, we are the new LA. Not to say that LA is going away or it's going to get cracked off the edge of the U.S. by the San Andreas Fault or anything, but we are becoming the new hub of entertainment in the U.S. And we are slowly seeing our home prices reflect that. We have Mark Wahlberg moving here with trying to bring Hollywood. We have the Sphere. We have F1. The list can go on and on and on and on. And that is going to attract people.